All right, welcome to part 2 of our course and syllabus review. In this video, questions will periodically appear so you can engage with the content. Now, I want to share a little bit about me. Again, my name is Belkis. I'm your instructor for this course. Just a little bit about my background as a person, human. I am a dog lover. I have 3 dogs, Cassie, the top one, Ozzy, the one on our right hand side, and then my husband there with our smallest dog, a little 6-pound chihuahua called Mango. Turns out it was really hard to find a picture of him standing on his own because really he just walks from bed to bed to sleep in new places. Um, and my background in education starts with Florida State University, is where I did my undergrad. And it's where I kind of started to get a lot of love for teaching. From there, I applied for a teaching fellowship and was accepted to one in Washington, D.C. It was young, it was amazing and fun, and I got to go be a teacher in D.C. I started off in a 3rd grade classroom and famously decided almost immediately from stepping foot in there that classroom was not for me, or 3rd grade in general was not for me. I thought the kids couldn't be cuter or sweeter or whatever the situation was, but they required a different level of energy than I was like generally capable of. They deserved so much more in that terms. And I ended up teaching at an 11th and 12th grade high school setting. And when I got there, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I loved teaching in that setting. It was mild mod student populations in a very urban setting in DC. And then from there, it took a big interest in the world of transition in special ed, and that's helping students move from school to adult life. And I ended up really loving this field, and I work a lot in this field still. And I ended up becoming a transition coordinator for our district in Washington, D.C. at a school for students with the most significant needs. And this was such an amazing experience. I absolutely loved it, and I did it for many years before figuring out that I loved a lot of different aspects of my job, and I wanted to kind of keep working my way up a ladder, but I had reached, at least in my district, where I could without having an even more advanced degree. And so I completed my master's degree at American University while I was working as a coordinator, and soon after decided to continue and get my PhD, and ended up in Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma. So kind of moving my way around the country. And in the 4 years that I spent in Oklahoma, I learned so much more about the wider world of special education and transition and education in general. And also turns out I really love research. And then once I started working in the research world, I was like, this is where I want to be. This is amazing. Love it. And I do really love it. I think it is amazing. Um, and lo and behold, then I had to go and get another job. And so I came over to the University of the Pacific, and I've been here and within Benner College since 2021. And I have absolutely loved my time with Benner College and teaching and working with teachers. Turns out this is what I wanted to do the whole time, work with teachers. And maybe next one we'll see what the other elevation or elevated level is for what I want to do next, or what I actually always wanted to do, apparently. And that said, I too still do quite a lot of research. I am connected with a couple of different great researchers and organizations within the field of special education. And I have really looked into the world of teacher education, teacher preparation. Outside of this, I work quite a bit in the world of inclusive higher education and supporting college opportunities for students with intellectual disabilities. And so I'm going to add something also very important to this introduction, because as much as I would like to talk about all the fun things, I also want to put out there something very important about my background related to behavior and teaching behavior. And the first of that being something really important is that behavior was never really my thing when I was a teacher or coordinator or whatever role where I was directly working with students. My go-to strategy used to be like befriend the students, let them know I'm always on their side, and show them that I'm always on their side, right? And hope for the best. And honestly, that strategy worked more often than it probably should have. But looking back, the reality was that I was just really, really terrified of getting in the mix of into a behavior, of learning something that was like hard to deal with. I felt wholly unprepared for what to do. And so I avoided doing anything a lot related to behavior, again, other than like trying to establish good relationships and letting that be the thing that drove how we dealt with behavior. And I'm happy to say that that works really well, but there's also so much more that I could have done. And since those days that I've been in the classroom and I felt that way, I have really shifted my perspective on behavior and teaching a lot. I know behavior is still an incredibly complex and maybe like even impossible to master kind of skill set. But I've also learned that there are so many more factors to consider that make a big difference. Things I wish I had known earlier has become like the theme of my teaching for the past couple of years and working with teachers. I don't want teachers, any teacher, especially anyone that I have worked with and called a student, to feel that they didn't at least have like the base level of knowledge to work off when facing a new challenge. Um, for something like behavior, every behavior is going to be different, every situation is going to be different. It's not like there's a one-to-one guide for how to fix every specific behavior. Unfortunately, wouldn't I would buy that book. But with behavior, I at least have come to find that if you have the base knowledge of how it works and what you might do and why we might choose one route versus another, then I felt like I could have tackled so many more, and I may not have been nearly as terrified as feeling like I was just throwing things at the wall and being like, I hope this works. And maybe making damage along the way because who knows, right? So, what we're not going to do is jump straight into trying a bunch of random strategies and hoping for the best. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to learn by my mistakes, certainly. Instead, we are going to start at the beginning. We need to understand the why behind behavior, how it works, what it means, and what influences it. And that's what we'll do in this course. So in this course, we are going to hit some of the big ideas that are especially relevant for kindergarten to 12th grade teaching. We won't have time to dive into every nuance, but my goal is to give you the knowledge and tools to feel more confident and maybe even a little bit more curious when it comes to student behavior. Just a heads up, this is a 5-week intensive course. It's a required part of your degree and credential, and it does move fast. You'll have multiple assignments due each week. So staying organized and on top of the deadlines is going to be your key to success. I'm going to switch now directly to the syllabus so we can look at some of the syllabus language together. All right, so here is a copy of our syllabus, which you can find on our Canvas page. My contact information is up top. A reminder that this is an asynchronous course. We do not have textbooks in this course, and you can read through what the purpose and objectives of the course are. Again, we do not have an attendance in this class because this is an asynchronous course that is delivered fully on Canvas. And like I just mentioned, this is going to be a much more intensive class because we have 5 weeks to fit in about 15 weeks worth of content. And we can do it. We can totally do it. So something about late and inappropriately submitted assignments. To support your learning and ensure feedback, I put some suggested dates on your assignments. It is going to typically be a Wednesday, a Friday, and a Sunday. Those dates are provided to help you stay organized and to keep up with the pace of the course. However, if you get everything done by Sunday, that's fine. I don't need to know that you were a little bit late for Wednesday or Friday. I'm not going to take points off of anything really. Nothing within like any reasonable level of time. The flexibility that happens with an asynchronous course is that you get the stuff done by that final due date. So consider Sundays like your final due date, right? For everything that's due in your week. If you have to adjust your dates a little bit, feel free to go ahead. If you are needing anything longer than 3 days to submit something like your final assignments for the week late after 3 days, I do need you need to talk to me. It's not going to be a punishment or anything, but it's going to be just so we're on the same page and I'm penalizing you if you're also dealing with some other things in life because that also happens. You just need to let me know and I'll make a note of it. Anything that's coming after 3 days, you are more than welcome to submit, but I might have to take off points for being late. Really importantly, because we are a 5-week course, the last day to submit assignments includes all assignments for the entire course. I cannot accept anything after that final semester deadline date. And that'll be at the very end of our syllabus here, and I'll show you once we get there. That said, you can redo any assignment you want if you don't get an A. If you got a B, you got a C. Hopefully nobody ever gets a grade lower than that. You can redo your assignment as many times as you want to get an A, and that includes any of the Edpuzzle tutorial videos and so forth. What I have scrolled through here is background information on the course. So the technology, computer accessory requirements, please read those on your earliest convenience. Here are the university expectations and policies, the mission, the vision, and I'm going to hold through to some of the big ones that I want to point out, but of course it's your responsibility to read the syllabus at full length. So the main thing I want to put out here is the honor code and the artificial intelligence policy. We are all bound by the honor code, and we're going to act honestly in all academic matters, and we're going to hold academic integrity. So in this course, we would definitely recognize the wide availability and access to various types of artificial intelligence or AI-based tools. It's very obvious that AI applications will be an increasing part of education. And I think in some ways we should have opportunity to engage with the tools when relevant and appropriate. However, not everything in this class is going to be relevant and appropriate for using AI. And so before anybody starts to just automatically use it to support their learning or their assignment completions, I want you to make note that every single assignment will have some kind of AI usage disclosure that you need to pay attention to and make sure that you read and comply with. Every assignment will have something a little bit different to tell you, and it's your responsibility to make sure that if you're using any artificial intelligence tool to support your learning or your work in this class, that you abide to those in each assignment. Along with this, I have information here related to our pronouns. If you have a preferred name or differing pronoun that might be listed with your information, just like as a student on the Canvas page, please let me know. I am more than happy to make any adjustments as necessary or as preferred. I just need to know. Feel free to shoot me a message, however you think is best. So additionally for this, we have accommodations for students with disabilities. I always like to make note of it. Please know that you are welcome to reach out to me and I will do my absolute best to integrate any accommodations, whether or not you have a documented disability or not. If you require or could benefit from a different accommodation to learn and engage in this course, more than happy to try my best to integrate those into the course for you and for many others. However, if you are somebody who does receive or require accommodations to engage in learning, then I highly recommend going through the student services office for students with disabilities, the Office of Services for Students with Disabilities at the campus. Going through them makes it an official process. And although, again, I will try my best, and I believe many people at University of Pacific do try their absolute best, having this, the Office of Services support students with disabilities is really helpful because there's at least a requirement and a safety net and support system should you need one. Okay, so I'm going to finish here with an acknowledgement that I am still working on this course. As I mentioned, we are doing some sort of asynchronous experiment this summer. I am with you here online, I promise, but it also means that as I learned what's working, what not working, I might have to make little tweaks and adjustments. If there are any changes, I will make you all aware as soon as possible via Canvas and within sufficient time. And your continued registration in this course indicates that you accept and understand the requirements of the course. All right, I'm going to move us over to look at our signature assignments. The first one listed here is not necessarily a signature assignment, but I wanted to put it so we never forget. This is our Ed Puzzle lecture videos, and we've already discussed those here, but there's more information, including some troubleshooting tips should you need some. The first of our signature assignments is a reflection. It's called Behavior Meets Reality, and in this you're going to watch a film series called Removed. It's quite an emotional film series, and then you'll do a personalized reflection. The next of our big signature assignments is evaluating and improving PBIS, or positive behavior intervention supports. In here, you're going to be evaluating a plan and writing up a short reflection. You're also going to be doing a behavior support plan in this course, and this is where we will develop a realistic behavior plan for a student with behavioral needs based on a load of data. And finally, a big assignment in this course is a classroom management plan. And here you'll create a pretty comprehensive classroom management plan. Now, scrolling through how grading works, points per grade or points per assignment. And here is our schedule for the whole summer. This will be of use to you, and a way to also help you keep track of everything that's due for the summer. In our course schedule, we have week and dates on the left-hand side, followed by topics and everything that is due. This looks a lot like what is on your Canvas modules to-do list. And on your right-hand side, I have all the assignments. They are all due by 11:59 of the day listed. So again, there are assignments listed for Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays sometimes. Please pay attention to what is on these, what due dates are listed and the day that they are required. Again, if you are off by a couple of days for any assignment, please don't freak out or think that you're going to lose a bunch of points. You'll be fine as long as you can get caught up in a realistic or relatively acceptable time frame, right? And the very last thing I want to show you is down here on week 5, where I have some notes in red because I want you to pay attention to the due dates of this last week. The week for the semester ends on a Friday, August 22nd. So the very last day that you can submit your classroom management plan and also anything from the entire semester would be Friday, August 22nd. And that is noted here for you. All right, I believe we went over the weekly practice. Remember that weekly practices are listed in your Canvas to-do list for the week. However, those are, again, not graded or technically required, but there for you to engage. I recommend you check some of them out at your leisure throughout the week. We found out already where the things are on Canvas. We are going to be looking at Canvas modules for the most part. Our syllabus and where you can contact me are all listed on Canvas. And that is the end of this video.